Well, good evening, everyone. We'll call this February 6th, 2012 special meeting of the Gainesville City Commission to order. Thank you so much for being here. This is a wonderful place that we have in Gainesville, sort of an unknown treasure for our community citywide. And that is Cone Park and the Eastside Recreation Center. And as you came in, you saw our wonderful new track and people actually out there on it enjoying the track. That's just a sign of many good things to come. Also, we have our new library branch here, and thanks to the Alachua County Library District.
For residents, you can see there's a lot of interest from your city staff at all levels. We're here to support, but we want you to have the conversation. And so now if you would pick a table that interests you, and say we'll have a facilitator, we have a few questions to get the conversation started.
The first question says, have you ever directly interacted with the city? If yes, what was the purpose of your interaction? For example, applying for a permit, paying a fee or fine, applying for a job, seeking information, parks and recreation, or any general information from the city.
So the answers that we received was that there were actually, a few people had multiple answers. There is a park that I thought was part of the school, but is a park right next to Aquin Jones. And so the question, I would call it interaction. The interaction was they were calling to find out about the trash being picked up. There were limbs down. During certain seasons, there are more trash because more people out there practicing football and things of that sort. So the answers were, initially, they were able to speak to a person who gave them a number. However, they never received a call back, so they never got any interaction with the person. And the trash was picked up, but the dead limbs were never picked up. So on a scale of 1 to 5, that was rated a 3. Some of it was done. They were given a direction, but there was no response, no callback. There was another one, GRU. Someone called in for smaller garbage cans. They also called another department for financial information. They called the clerk's office, and they were very satisfied, so that also rated a 3. And then there was a third situation where a customer went online onto the GRU website about tree limbs on a power line, not at their particular home, but tree limbs on a power line in general. That was about 10 days ago, and the tree has not been removed. They were able to find the information that they needed on the website, so they said it was a 3 because they were satisfied, but they just never received a call back. So they don't know if GRU went out and assessed the damage or assessed the down tree and decided it was okay for it to be there or it didn't need to be removed. So they just don't know, what happened. But a 3 because they were able to go through the process all online. Did I get it? Okay. That was question number 1.
Actually, she did 1 and 2 together because we ranked. The other one says it is important to us that our citizens feel like they have received the customer service when they interact. To that end, we are working on an initiative that will help us to improve customer services. We value your input. Please tell us, what do you expect in terms of customer service when dealing with city government?
So number 1 was most people wanted to be able to talk to a live person. The next was they wanted a same-day response, even if it wasn't the complete answer, at least a callback, dealing with the live person. They do want acknowledgement of the information was received, or the question was asked, or the problem was raised, and a date to expect an answer, and then constant communication. And the next thing is they would like to be able to talk to someone 5 days a week, so a full work week, as opposed to just certain days out of the week.
And then it says in 1 or 2 word phrases, what kinds of qualities or attributes do you look for in good customer service?
So showing concern, acknowledgement, talking to a person who has a good attitude, a person who's approachable, having a follow through, at least a phone call, communication, and being able to provide feedback, so evaluation or survey.
And then one of the questions we said, if you had an opportunity to provide feedback to us about our customer service experience, what would you like most? How would you most like to provide that feedback?
So we had a variance of answers, electronically and online. A few of us chose that. Some of us wanted personal contact, a live person again. Something in the newspaper, some type of notice or ad in the newspaper would be fine. Enhancing the use of local media, TV 20, again, Gainesville Sun, Channel 12. GTN, all of the local radio stations, television stations. They wanted accurate both sides of the story, and social.
And then the other question came up was whether or not we could use Channel 12 as a way of communicating new projects, new services in the community, as well as acknowledgement of that. And then one of the things that came up was the better use of what we have available and revamping our website. Those are some of the things that relates to customer service. Again, thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay, our first question is, how can the city maximize the safety of our citizens and workforce?
Decoy vehicles to increase police exposure, deterrence, and safety kiosks. Then you have the strengthen the landlord, the attendants. I mean, in case people get out of hand, force, do a lot of enforcement and all that. Then you have increased video surveillance in neighborhoods and stuff. Then you have bicycle patrols. Then you have more officers in the community.
Historically, GPD has operated from a central police station. Do you feel that the substation is remote precincts located closer to your residence or business would improve public safety, and why?
The main one was yes, because you could get a quicker response in your neighborhood.
How can you as a citizen make Gainesville a safer place?
More crime watch in your community, citizens on patrol, and then more help with religious, more volunteers from more volunteer programs, participants. Then you have maybe the church giving more help with volunteers and stuff, community service.
Which are the following best contributes to promoting community safety and health? focus on violent crime, enforcing traffic laws, increased contact with officers in neighborhoods, early interventions of law enforcement with families of at-risk youth.
Pretty much all of them will best contribute to public safety.
Do you think it is important for GFR to provide fire prevention activities like fire inspections?
Yes. Yes, it will be. Because we have 600 business, and then they will all be inspected by like 3 people or something. So, and or recommendation for volunteers, fire inspectors. Okay.
Hello, my name is Roberta Roberts, and I'm also with the Giggle and Gear campaign from the University of Florida. And here at the Economic Development table, we had a variety of residents from various sectors, realty, agriculture, architecture, different sectors of the community. And so we discussed several things that fall under economic development. Thank you. Okay, so one of the first things that we talked about in terms of how we can focus on economic development is by helping develop local businesses, including local food. Gainesville has a lot of agricultural resources and land that it can use so that it can promote homegrown, grow your own initiatives. So local food as well as environmental businesses were something that we think that Gainesville has a strength in that could aid in Gainesville's economic development. We also discussed supporting local professionals, for example, architects, as I mentioned before, and by helping local firms have more opportunities to receive awards, to receive contracts that they can stay in the city of Gainesville. We also discussed something, this is something that I brought up that has to do with the whole Giggle and Gear thing. And I brought up childhood obesity and how it is actually affected by several factors. Public safety, if kids don't feel safe to play, they don't go outside, they don't get the recommended 60 minutes or more of activity that they need a day. In terms of public transportation, if there is no transportation for them to get to a safe place to play, or even to a supermarket that has the kinds of fresh foods that they need, they won't be getting the kind of nutritional value that they need to grow up. So as you can see, the several different factors that we are here talking about tonight all also came into play with economic development. So one point that I brought up is when it comes to what is the best way to incentivize private development and job creation, I brought up how the Food Lion supermarket is closing soon and how maybe the city can look into ways to incentivize other supermarkets to come into town so that will decrease food deserts, which are areas of town where people in the community, they have a lack of access to transportation, and because the public transit system isn't as frequent as it could be for some people, they have a hard time getting access to fresh foods. So in terms of economic development, we can find a way to incentivize other, either outside or another point that we came to, looking inside of Gainesville first before going to look outside for businesses and outside for development, trying to see what kind of creativity, what kind of talents, ideas that we already have here in the city of Gainesville so that we can utilize those and build on those strengths to further build the city. We also discussed ways to make it easier for local businesses to start up. We talked about startup and small businesses, such as, for example, reducing regulations and fees We also talked about a big issue about being landlord fees, the time it takes to get permits and approvals. And another point that was brought up, when a business does leave the city of Gainesville, to try and set up a meeting time with that business and ask them, why did you leave Gainesville? Was it something that you feel the city could have done better in? Was it because the fees were too high, things like that? Or was it just something on your own end that actually didn't have to do with Gainesville, but it was just your own business dealing? So that way, the city of Gainesville can take some of what, developers, businesses, companies, they can learn more about what the companies want and then further take that to work with what Gainesville wants for development. Add to property tax rolls, implements the plan to help renovate East Gainesville. We need the money, time, and actual certain goals, because right now people are saying that the plan to renovate East Gainesville is pretty broad right now. It needs more specific goals. That was another thing that we talked about here at the economic development table. Oh, that's it. That's something else. Job training, especially for people with special needs or at-risk youth or other segmented areas of the population, because not everyone goes to the University of Florida in Gainesville. We also have to provide a way for other residents of the city of Gainesville to be able to participate and further help with the economic development of the city. So that was another thing that we discussed. And regulations, clear, appropriate, scaled well, easy to understand, and support the overall vision of improving the economic development of the city of Gainesville.
Do you believe the city should place greater emphasis on road beautification projects and associated maintenance, enhanced landscaping, streetscaping? If so, are you willing to have taxes increased to provide the higher level of maintenance required?
Okay. So we said that we would provide, we wanted to provide basic maintenance to keep roadways clear of debris, and picking up litter, offering recycling bins at bus stops and things like that, and encourage residents to do beautification along areas. But we weren't really that into supporting a tax increase for that, and I wanted them to be native and not really water hungry plants, so we could conserve water. I think the next question.
Should public transit help guide growth and development patterns in Gainesville and Alachua County, or should transit follow growth wherever it occurs?
So yeah, the chicken or the egg. This was a tricky one. I think we actually thought that growth should probably occur before transit, and then transit can adapt to the needs. But we understand that there's a nuance in that we should try to be smart about where we're developing. And we said that we would rather, when posed with a follow-up question, we would rather see more development in the southeast portion of Gainesville and southwest before going all the way west. Is that about right? Okay. Number 9.
Would you change your commuting patterns from automobile, transit, walking, or cycling if the city invested in an enhanced transit service or expanded the cycling and sidewalk networks?
Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, we said that probably people with their own cars want to enjoy their car and their own privacy, and the advantages that they can have, the kind of freedom, but that if I think there was some more discussion also that if the buses were maybe cleaner, although it was also said that the buses are pretty clean here compared to other places, or if there were like faster bike routes, that we might change our transportation patterns. And I think we have the last question.
If high frequency transit service, 15 minutes frequency or better, operated close to you or your residence or your workplace, would you use the service more or often? What would be your reason for using or not using the high frequency transit?
And I don't know that we really answered that, but we do have that that bikes may be preferred in some cases because they get you to your destination and can be, quick end. And that's it.
On the first question, we had a split on what was most important. There was one vote for resurfacing and one vote for bicycles, and then followed with public transit. On the second question, whether you would support a sales tax initiative, they basically weren't very supportive of that idea, but that there was an idea of a sales tax being based on mileage driven as an alternative. And so we had a little bit of discussion about how you would do that. And we didn't come up with a solution. Would you change your commuting patterns from automobile to transit if it was there was enhanced transit or walking and bicycling in the area? And the answer was yes. There were some issues raised about transit access and frequency of transit, particularly on the east side of town, and ensuring that there is sufficient transit service for 365 days a year. It shouldn't matter what day of the year it is or the holidays, that transit service should be provided every day. Discussion about having more bike lanes or more bicycle facilities to be able to connect those areas of the community that may not have as much transit service in order to access and provide facilities for those users of the transportation system. A discussion about the need for more enforcement of illegally parked vehicles, particularly when they're blocking the sidewalks and the bike lanes around town, that we need to enforce that. And we had some discussion about the design of bike lanes, and where'd you say, Copenhagen? That they actually designed the bike lanes to be to the right of parking lanes. And they're usually on some kind of a raised platform between the parking lane and the curb. Their data shows that it's safer for the bicyclist. And they also have counters. They have signs and counters that count the number of bicyclists that have used that facility, and it shows you historical trends. And so that was an interesting technology being used. Question 4 was, should public transit help guide growth? And there seemed to be a leaning toward transit should follow growth, but then we had a discussion about where there have been historical trends where growth follows investment in infrastructure, and particularly as it relates to transit or road and construction, that generally growth follows those types of investments. And then question 5 was, do you believe the city should place greater emphasis on road beautification projects? And they said no. That basically we just need to be providing maintenance of the infrastructure that's there, and not putting in a lot of new plantings and that sort of thing.
Okay, economic development. Focus on economic development. Our first one was jobs. The second one was types of jobs, manufacturing, skilled trades, incentives for high wage, industry level, and general commercials. Number 3, source of jobs, University of Florida, innovation, biotech, Santa Fe College, education, healthcare, City of Gainesville, what is our niche? Private industry. Prioritization of incentives. Locations, types of businesses, more doctor's offices, restaurants, or retail. Replace businesses that serve basic needs of community. is important to bus development, business development, visibility, accessibility, access to community assistance programs, public transportation is accessible, and more bike paths and sidewalks.
All right. What should be the balance between economic growth and environmental protection? Does Gainesville have it about right, or are we too heavily weighted on one side?
Hi, good evening. We had a really long discussion on this one. So we said that they should be intertwined. The environment and growth should be intertwined. We have a vibrant community, but we must recognize its dependence on the environment. So we were saying that it is the 21st century and that times are changing and growth is not a bad thing, but it needs continuous evaluation. We need to look back and see, are we doing the things that are appropriate for the time? East and West should be the same. We need a safe environment. Gainesville should be as one. We were saying that East and West need to be more similar. You shouldn't be able to drive down one street and then in 10 minutes it looks like two different cities. In the East, the Food Lion's closing, and in the West, there's the Oaks Mall. There needs to be more shopping, more availability of commercial centers, as well as food and just general resources in the East. We said there are a lot of opportunities. There's opportunities for community gardens, cooking classes, group workshops to build trust and communication in the community. We also should encourage small businesses, small and local businesses to take up the places and develop further in the East. And there needs to be more jobs and development as well as access to foods. Here's a list of things that should be available in East Gainesville. We said it needs to be, it already is environmentally safe, but we would like it to be more further developed. Like we said before, shopping centers, we need more doctor's offices, more food availability, not only fast food, but also healthy options. Clothes, perhaps we should court the businesses to come and fill up the places where other businesses have closed down. We should definitely encourage those places to be replenished instead of forgotten and left behind. We also said there needs to be a change in the perception of East Gainesville, because some members at our table are East Gainesville residents, and they said that they do feel safe and they are happy, but we also need to change the perception that East Gainesville is, you know, a part of town that you don't necessarily want to develop, you don't want to go into, you don't want to live there. We need to unite Gainesville as one city. The city should provide incentives to small businesses, to small and local businesses to develop further in the East Side.
Thank you. All right. Are you happy with your neighborhood? Does it have all the elements that you feel are appropriate for a neighborhood? Access, pleasant residence, community space, etc. If not, what is lacking?
So one of the general things that we all agreed upon was that neighbors don't communicate. There is a very low sense of community in our community. You need more activities. We should be able to have a space where you can come together, where kids can play together, and community members feel safe walking down the street, where they feel like they know their neighbors, they can say hello, and everybody has the opportunity to feel safe and happy at home. If you don't know people, we said there's an increase of crime rate. That's pretty normal. On Fifth Avenue, for example, the crime rate has increased just because it's generally a place where a lot of people don't know each other. We also said that it's a societal issue, let alone not just Gainesville, but as a society as a whole, we do not know our neighbors as they did before. And we said maybe we should implement stronger community activities, have more public transport at certain times of the day. And generally people are happy with their community, but there's huge opportunities to grow. We also said there's a huge opportunity to recycle downtown. Sometimes there's not even trash cans, let alone recycling bins. We would also like to see the ordinance enforced downtown for recycling and removing trash and waste. And some of the things we mentioned that have recently come up are the solar-powered trash can compactors that are in their pilot program. So we were really interested in that, and we also mentioned more recycling at bus stops.
So then increase neighborhood presence and then additional crime watch participation, as well as revitalize the cops team. Thank you. Okay, so the second question we ask is GPD has operated historically from a central police station, but do you feel that substations or remote precincts located closer to a residence or business would improve public safety? And then why or what would you expect from that location? So a lot of us thought these substations would be a good idea, and that they would obviously deter crime because the police stations are in neighborhoods, specific neighborhoods. It would decrease the response time if you had to travel less distance, obviously. And then involvement with community strengthened would be strengthened because you're involved in your own community as opposed to a single location. And then I don't know what's centralized detectives. Oh, okay, all right. So the headquarters would have a centralized, and then we'd have detectives, and then a crime lab, which would be a pro to having a headquarters still. So our next question is, how can we as citizens make Gainesville a safer place to live? And then a lot of things we have here are be your neighbor's keeper was the main thing that was discussed, and really just looking out for everyone in Gainesville. We are one city, so looking out for each other. And then volunteer for the COPS program, and then mentoring teens for at-risk youths is another thing we also discussed. Okay, and the next question is, which of the following best contributes to promoting community safe and health? And the 4 areas that we gave here are focus on violent crimes, enforcing traffic laws, increasing contact with officers in neighborhoods, and then early intervention of law enforcement with families of at-risk youth. And the main thing that we said here was the priority is reducing violent crime, and that would be the thing that we can most do to make Gainesville a safer place. And the next question, very popular among our group, is do you think it is important for Gainesville Fire Rescue to provide fire prevention activities like fire inspections? So no opposition there. Everybody likes that idea. It's a very popular idea. Okay, and then what are the biggest safety issues in your neighborhood and near your place of work? A lot of people discuss the quality of life concerns, drug and gang activity, as well as traffic and fear of outdoor activity from associated with these fears and gang activities and drugs. And then home invasions, that was a big one we discussed as well. So do you think it is important for Gainesville Fire Rescue to provide fire safety education to the public? Also very important. Everyone likes that idea as well. So safety concerns are critical, and we also discussed actually expanding those activities in schools and around the community as well. So our last question is, do you think fire sprinklers should be required in all new residential constructions? So the cons there were people were unsure how much it cost, and that was obviously a big concern if I had to install a fire sprinkler, how much would it cost me? And then a pro, obviously, is preservation of life, obviously could save a lot of lives. And then 24-hour prevention, where if your house has gone on fire, you have a sprinkler there to protect you. But then we also discussed the major causes of the fires and how we can do to prevent those, which are cooking accidents, smoking, and also candle use.
She was parks, recreation, and cultural affairs, like she said. And the first question we asked was, do you utilize Gainesville's parks, recreation facilities / programs, and cultural facilities and programs? Which facilities, programs, events, and how often? And we came up with the fact that we go to art festivals and we use the bike trails, the nature parks, the Thomas Center, and the Pine Ridge neighborhood, and also utilize the Thelma Bolton Center and the Rosa Williams Center and T.B. McPherson. The second question was, based on what you know, see, and hear about the community, what do you believe are the top priority parks, recreation, and cultural needs in the city? And we said that staffing was an issue that needed more attention, and after-school programs for kids, especially summer education and fitness programs to deal with the obesity rates in America. And maybe more attention could be paid to hiking trails, like Morningside and Paynes Prairie, just to name a few. And also ADA access. There needs to be more access for, handicap. And the Emerald Necklace, which is more of a green space, and more facilities dedicated to sports like baseball, basketball, etc. The third question is, how is the city doing in providing and maintaining different types of natural park areas? Should more of these areas be provided? Should they be more passive or active? And overall, they're doing a pretty good job of maintaining the parks and recreational facilities. And the Rosa Center is very clean. Sorry guys. And yeah, the bike trails are clean, you know, there's no brush, there's no branches on the trails. The fourth question is, if an additional $100 were available for the City of Gainesville's park, cultural trails, sports, and recreation facilities, how would you allocate the funds among the categories listed below? And most people said that it would go towards improvements and maintenance of existing places, like pools and sports facilities and recreational areas. There was a tie for number 2, and people would say we want more different places for biking and walking and recreation, and also development of parkland and open space. And then ranking 3rd was development of new cultural facilities. Coming in last was development of new sports fields and facilities. And the 5th question was, what funding sources would you support to address the city's parks, recreation, and cultural affairs needs? And we said that mostly grants could be used to fund those needs, along with maybe a park impact fee, and not really using property taxes or things like that. And people don't like to hear the word sales tax, so maybe not implementing sales taxes, and user fees. So if you wanted to go use something, you would pay for it.
Just wanted to let you know what will happen with the information that you've provided through these breakout sessions. The city staff will be capturing everything that was on the flip charts. We'll type it up, we'll provide it to the city commission. They'll have it as part of their budget development and their review of the 5-year capital improvement plan. So everything that occurred during the meeting, which was similar to this, that occurred at the senior center, and all the information and all the ideas that you provided will be provided in a summary to the commission, so they'll have it as background as they begin to develop the budget and as well as the capital improvement plan.
I just express appreciation. I got a chance to sit on the second session for the whole session with one of the tables. I encourage every one of you who, particularly if there was 1 or 2 items that came up in either session that really struck you as something the city ought to be doing, to not just let it go at their contribution tonight or the notes, but to follow up with us. I think all of us have said many times that the feedback that we get from citizens on an ongoing basis is actually even more valuable than that one-off. And this is a real opportunity. If you saw 1 or 2 things that, and that is just so common sense, that's got to happen. Try to help us make that happen. Come meet with us. I'm sure each of us would be very happy to meet with you. And it is a very important time with the budget coming forward. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Seeing none, thank you all again for being here, for giving us your thoughts. Your input does help us make a better city for Gainesville. Have a good night.